Hello guys, Roadrunner. So I really wanted to show you guys this. I just got all this stuff from my mom yesterday and this morning, and a lot of this is stuff I had when either I was on a kid or it's stuff that I sent to her while I was on the road. And a lot of this stuff is either like Lufkin related or it's railroad related, but it's stuff I really wanted to show you guys. So and some of it's military too. First one we got here, this is an old magazine we had when I was a little kid. This is British edition, Yank. And it's from 1944, August 27th, 3rd edition, I'm assuming. And I'm not gonna open this up, they're in the wrapping for a reason. Also inside of it, Lives of the US President. Little Blue Book number 1065, edited by whatever. With portraits by Peter Quinn. I'm not sure what year this is, but this is going to be kept in package. Stay. Next off, we have certain newspapers. Now, I'm not sure why she actually gave this to me, other than how old it is. This is from Spokane. This is Spokane Daily Chronic. This is from the year 1919. Plane flies to Azores, I believe that's pronounced, within 15 hours. Within 15 hours. Honor 4-minute men. 5 billion marks asked of Austrians. I think marks is their currency. Oh yeah, because of the First World War, the Great War. On the back of it, something about a strike. Oh, this is probably why she gave it to me. Railroad men will vote on strike move at once. The way they worded that. It says here, Winnipeg man, May 17th, telegraph operators employed by 3 commercial telegraph companies, brokers, and the Canadian Press Limited joined Winnipeg's general strike at noon today. Huh. I wonder if that's why she gave this to me. Same plane falls, 2 are killed. I've never actually got to read this before. Huh. Okay, so let's see. Here's another. Is this Spokane? I don't think so. Oh yeah, it is Spokane, Washington. This is January 6, 1933, so this is during the Great Depression. Trying to see. Oh, train and snow in lusty battle? Oh, Empire Builder puts up fight with avalanche. The Empire Builder, if I remember correctly, was the name of one of the passenger trains for one of the freight companies at the time. If I remember correctly, I think that was Milwaukee Railroad, I think. Either that or, let's see, Spokane, 1923, President Harding dies of a pox split. Blah. I'm not going to pronounce that. Suddenly and without warning. Let's see, is there anything railroad related? Yes, here is Tour Land and Own Train. Santa Barbara, California, August 12th. Something new in railroad touring was shown to the people of this section today when a party of Indiana tourists arrived here in a train made up of 6-day coaches and 2 baggage cars, in which they have traveled 2 weeks running on their own schedule. Wow, that's surprising. I guess that's the reason why she gave it to me. I never got to read these when I was a kid, so. Let's see if I can fix this. Got Fallout 3 playing in the background. Alright, so this book, we've already seen this book. This is the one I had as a kid, One Day in the Life of Angelina County. This is the one I did a video of last year. And as you can see, it's been used a lot. There's mold actually growing in it, so I'm probably going to put this in protective case or protective plastic or something. This is the one I had as a kid, and then the one I did a couple months ago was one that I bought from one of the antique stores. Okay, let's see here. This is just pictures that my former art teacher gave me. I don't need that, really. This, I like. I'm going to do a future video of this. This official list of open and prepaid stations. Station listing publishing company agent. It's a complete list of freight stations on carriers named in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, showing geographical locations of stations, stations having agents in charge, stations to which freight charges must be prepaid, and notes and special conditions. And here's the thing, this is from November 1st, 1979, this issued at least. This, I went through this last night. This is amazing. This literally would tell you of every state of the 3 countries it just named. Every state, and every state has the name of every town that not only has a freight station, they also put the passenger stations in this too. And along with what stations there is, or how many there is, they put the name of who owns that station under it. So, and not only that, they also have the name of the stations that aren't, like, it has Lufkin in this, right? At the time that this came out in 1979, there was only one station left here in Lufkin, but they named all five of the stations that were in Lufkin at the time. So, this is a really cool book. I'm actually going to put this in my library. And, oh man, I don't know what to say. This is just a really cool book. She actually found this and a couple other books in here, yesterday. When they came by the house, they were over in Tyler to get me something, which I'll talk about in the upcoming video. They found this book, as well as some other books that were railroad related, which I'm about to grab. I really love this book. This is like the best reference guide. I don't even have to look up stations on Google or anything. All I gotta do is figure out what town it is somebody's asking me about, see if there was a station in there, and if the station was there, it tells me the name of the company, and I know that the railroad went through there. Okay, let's see. This one is the Book of Train Wrecks. This is a really, really old book. Whoa. That's sad. Didn't mean that to happen. This one, I want to say this came out probably in the 40s, I think. And the reason why I saved that, well, let's see. Maybe there's a publishing date in here. So it says it's published in 1975, but the problem is, this book, I went through it, there's nothing about diesel locomotives in here. I think the only one here, diesel-wise, is this one, or at least it's close to it. Santa Fe route. But there's nothing really of diesel trains here that I can see. Okay, well here's one right here. Maybe I just didn't look hard enough. But it's mainly just like they're talking about different accidents that happened and here's head-on collisions, and they show a lot of steam locomotives. Southern Railroad right there. We'll probably do a future look of that book too. Alright, here's 2 books I like. These are time books. This one's from what is this one? I just saw it. Where is it? 1969 is when this one was issued. Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers. And then this one was 1970, wasn't it? I'm getting there, hold on. I want to say this was 1970. I could be wrong. Oh well. Anyways, those are really old time books. These are the one. This is basically the precursor to them. I think they now do it like on like sheets of paper that you have to like hand over or something instead of it being an actual time book. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company 100 years, a century of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company. This was released in 1927. Baltimore and Ohio was formed in 1827, and this gives their first. This is like a book on their first 100 years. And for those who don't know really much about the Baltimore and Ohio, or the B&O as they're called, they are now, if I remember correctly, I think they were they later became either the Chessie System Railroad or the Seaboard System Railroad, but either way, they were basically the grandfather parent of the CSX Rail Company as we know it today. They were the originals. I just can't remember which one they became afterwards. Alright, so this right here is stuff that I found when I was on the road. This is just banking stuff. These are all Amtrak time-related stuff, and they have they're the regional timetables, and they have like different years on. Like this one's 1972, so this is when they first came out, if I remember correctly. And let's see if I can get here's a map of it. So this is what their original route was, and obviously it's a lot bigger now than what it used to be back then. Now let's see if we can get this one. This is also 1972. Was it 71 or 72 when they came out? Can't remember. I think it was 72 because this is January right here of 72. This is September of 72. Then this one right here is November of 1975. And you can see they expanded out their trackage a little bit. They used to have other. See, I know for a fact that some of this isn't even here anymore. Like this line right here they're not using that anymore. And then this one right here, that's Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad, and they're obviously not around anymore. And I know for a fact this route right here isn't here because they don't go up to Cheyenne. That's Cheyenne right there. So a lot of this is not even here anymore, which is really sad when you think about it. And there's South Dakota. South Dakota's never had Amtrak come through there. That's really sad. And then let's see here. This is August 1973. There's the map for it. And then let's see. That's not important. This one is May 10th, 1975. I like this. See, I've missed these engines right here. These Amtrak locomotives. I really wish we could see more of those. Amtrak intercity passenger routes. As of 1975. Let's see. They still go up to Oklahoma City, but they don't go up to Wichita and Newton anymore. There's the Denver and Rio Grande Western. Cheyenne. Let's see here. I'm trying to see. They didn't stop in Marshall, Texas at the time. And then, of course, we're right here, so they never had a route right here, which is really sad, but Union Pacific won't let them do it. And then we have this one right here, another timetable from 1978. I'm not going to open all that up. A couple more timetables. Let's see here. February 15th, 1976. April 25th, 1976. And let's see, April 27th, 1975. I bought it. By the way, I bought all of these timetables for 25 cents a piece at an antique store. Before I do this, I'm going to talk about this last. This has a lot of meaning to me. The Depots of Lufkin, a central sketchbook of Lufkin Railroad stations, and this came out in 1983, if I remember correctly. There's A&R Railroad, first company I ever rode with. I'm sorry, 1982, September 28th, 1982. Dear Ed, as part of its contribution to the celebration of the Lufkin Centennial, the A&R commissioned artist Ralph Stewart of Crockett to depict 6 of the railroad depots which have served Lufkin during the past century. The results of his work can be found in the attached Sentinel commemorative, The Depots of Lufkin. We think Mr. Stewart did a superb job, and we are pleased to share his work with you. We hope you enjoy the sketches. Sincerely, Jack. And Jack McMullen was the president and general manager of A&R at the time. Now, all these paintings, or sketches, I should say, have a little background on them. Alright, so first off, we've seen this before. This is the old Kelty station. I actually have another copy of this that somebody else did. It's the same one, but it's hanging in my dining room where all my railroad stuff is. And it says here, if I can find it, the Angelina Hotel River Railroad was chartered by the state in 1900, operated from this 2-story building at Kelty's for many years. The structure, built in the late 1800s, also served as the main offices for Angelina County Lumber Company before the firm built its own offices at Kelty's. The building was demolished in the 1950s, and Angelina County Lumber Company were the parent owner of Angelina Hotel River Railroad. Alright, so next up, this is the, God, what was this company? Oh, this is the Railroad Express Agency. And if y'all saw my video of when I did the downtown Lufkin tour history, I actually showed you guys where this building was. And let's see what this says here. Lufkin Railway Express Agency's building, built shortly after the turn of century, was torn down in the 1950s to permit construction of Angelina Street. The building was located south of the present underpass on Frank Street. See, for those who are from Nacogdoches, y'all will recognize this building. This building is the one that everybody misses. This is the Southern Pacific Passenger Station. And we're going to read it right here. It says, Southern Pacific built this brick passenger depot on Cotton Square in downtown Lufkin in the early 1900s. The building, remembered as Lufkin's finest depot, was later remodeled to include a restaurant. The structure was demolished in the 1950s to permit the construction of Angelina Street through the downtown area. Again, this is also shown, I also shown the present location of the building in that video I just mentioned. This bun right here, this is a rarity. This is, as far as I'm aware of, unless I could find one, this is one of the only couple of images that is shown of this depot. This is the Cotton Belt Railroad's depot, the St. Louis Southwestern. If you're coming from Tyler on the St. Louis Southwestern line, and you were to be dropped off in Lufkin, you would be dropped off at this depot on their line. You are also, if you were riding with Texas Southeastern or Groveton, Lufkin, and Southeastern Railroads, you would also be dropped off at this station. It says here, the Cotton Belt Railroad built this depot at the corner of Groesbeck and 1st Street in the late 1800s to serve its Lufkin customers. The building was later torn down, which, if I remember correctly, was either late 40s or early 50s when they did this. Last but not least, this was Lufkin's first ever depot. This one has a lot of interesting background to it. And I'm going to actually read it from over here because it gives a lot better information than I would. Built in the late 1880s, shortly after Lufkin was founded, this wooden depot was located on the west side of Cotton Square. It was actually located right across the street from this one, right across the tracks, in downtown Lufkin. It was used by the Houston East and West Texas Railroad, which later on became Southern Pacific, until 1913 when it was destroyed by a mysterious explosion. Although a body was not discovered, it was presumed a railroad employee had died in the blast. He was later declared legally dead, and his stepmother collected on his insurance. In 1916, however, the employee was returned to Lufkin by Judge E.J. Mantooth, who's a really historic guy here, a local attorney acting on behalf of the insurance firms. The employee stood trial for fraud, but was he was later acquitted. Yeah, this depot I think would have been amazing if it was still here. But I lied. There's one more station I wanted to show. This one. This is Lufkin's last depot. This was our freight station. It did act as a passenger station for a while too, but this was our main freight station. When this building was destroyed in 1913, they built this one in 1914 to take care of its place as a freight station, and then across the street at the same time, this one was built along with this one right next to it. And it says here, mind you, this is from 1982, built around 1914 or 1915 to replace the HE and WT depot destroyed by the 1913 explosion. This brick depot is currently, or at the time it was, being used by Southern Pacific on the west side of Angelina Street in the downtown Lufkin. It is the only railroad depot serving Lufkin. Sadly, that is not the case. As I just mentioned, this depot was torn down in 1998. Because the city of Lufkin decided it wasn't worth the time and effort to put some fucking money into actually keeping something historic. They'd rather tear down buildings that served a purpose. I don't even know. I'm just ranting. It says here, Lufkin's railroads and depots. Beginning in 1882, Houston, East and West Texas, many railroad companies have served Lufkin over the past 100 years. The presence of each line in Lufkin was usually marked by a depot which not only reflected the personality and interests of the railroad, but served as a focal point for the customers in the community. The earliest Lufkin depot was a freight car, which was lifted from its running gear and planted on the ground near where Kurth Memorial Library now stands. So, for those of Lufkin who don't know this, when it says Kurth Memorial Library, it's talking about the one that used to be downtown. There used to be a white building in front of where the old freight station was, or the old passenger station was, I should say. And they tore that building down, I want to say either in the 80s or the 90s. Probably the early 90s when they built the new one that's closer to the tracks farther down the road from downtown. And you guys can read this if y'all want. I'm just going to stop right here and scan it. The Groton, Lufkin, and Northern. My bad. I said Southeastern. Alright, so this picture has a lot of meaning for me. You see, I moved here in Lufkin in October of 2008. When I moved here, this building, this is the Angelina Hotel. I don't remember at least what year it stopped being a hotel, but prior to us moving here, it was a low rental housing unit, basically. And I think sometime between 2005 and early 2008 was when they shut the place down. When I moved here, the whole building was abandoned. Right over here on this section, I remember there was a barber shop, which was actually this part right here where that door is. I don't remember what this was. It was blocked off. And then farther down towards the end of the building was a law firm, which was gone by then. All these places were gone. This part right here was like a common room area, a living room if you want to say. It was basically like a hangout spot for the people who were living there at the time. Right here is the main entrance. If you go to it, or if you went to it at the time, I can't explain what it is now because Mark Hicks, who owns it, has it blocked off. But at the time, when you went over there, you would walk in the door right here, and there would be where the old hotel clerk entrance, or the clerk desk was used by the manager of the housing unit. And he would sit there, and there was those little key areas for your mail and such. That's where you would get your mail from. And there was an elevator right over here to the left of it, if you were looking at it from the outside. And there was a stairwell right here. And if you look over here in this direction, like you're looking towards here, you can see the inside of of the hangout area over here. And then over here to the right, you can barely see it. You can see that window right there. That was a restaurant. And I don't know when they shut that one down. Like I said, this was all shut down by the time I moved here. But from what people told me, the restaurant was a really fine restaurant, and that people paid a lot of money for it, and it was the finest restaurant Lufkin had at the time until all these other places started to come in. It was just a really nice place at the time when it was a hotel. I took this picture in 2009, sometime earlier mid-2009. My mom gave me a camera. She told me, you know, go take pictures, do whatever. Behind the hotel, from what I remember, there was a courtyard, which is now a, over here, towards where the law firm was or whatever, it's now like a winery with like nice French tasting food or whatever. The restaurant is now connected to the courtyard, and they redid the whole courtyard to where people could sit outside and, I don't know, eat a meal or whatever the hell. But when I was there as a kid, I remember in the courtyard, there was like this rectangular looking bricked spot in the middle of the courtyard, and there was like plywood over it, and I think that actually used to be the water fountain for the area. And then on the second floor here, I've been in this building twice before Mark Hicks bought it and turned it into what it is now. When I was a kid, there used to be a ballroom on the second floor. I think it actually is still there. But there's a ballroom, and it had this really nice paintings on the walls and such. And then you went all the way up to the top of the building, and on the roof, there's literally just nothing on the roof. It was dangerous. You really didn't want to walk up there, because there actually was a couple holes that went into the rooms up here. It was really dangerous. But I hadn't seen this picture up until today. I hadn't seen this since I took it, because I gave it to my mother and she had put it away from me. And to see this 12 years later, it's, you know, it's really heartbreaking to see what it is now. Because, I mean, it's great looking at it now in 2021, because, you know, it's being used again. People are living on the second floor here. There's businesses all here. He's working on the second, third, and fourth floor for people to live in as apartments or whatever. But to me, in my opinion, I really just enjoyed, especially as a kid, seeing how it was when I first moved here. And I think, judging by that One Day in an Angelina County book we read, when I saw some of the pictures, actually, I'm going to grab that real quick. Here it is, right here. Okay, so this is 2009, this is 1989, so this is a 20-year difference. But I made a Facebook post about this. I think they actually turned the building into what it looked like in 2009 in the 80s, from what I could tell. And what I was talking about with the courtyard and such, well, here, right here, these two windows, this is where the ballroom is. And then the courtyard goes right back here, and that's where the water fountain is. Right here is where the law firm is. The barbershop was right here, and there's another one right over here. There's something else over here in the corner. I can't remember what it was. And then this part of the building over here, this is actually a, I think that was the elevator shaft. I think this was another elevator shaft at one point. You can see right here, there used to be windows right here at the time. And when I first moved here, they were already bricked up. So I don't know what that was for. I think, if I remember correctly, there was actually a hall. These were hallways right here. And then, let's see. This part of the building was built in the 50s. The way I know this is because of the type of brick they were using. You can actually see it to this day. Because the hotel at one time used to be just the front right here, and then right here where this window is, right past is where they cut it off. And then they built this part in the 1930s, either 20s or 30s, because they built the hotel in 10 or 15. This part was 1920s or 30s, that was 1950s. So, anyways, that's just a bunch of memories I wanted to go through. It's amazing to me that when I moved here in 2008, Lufkin basically, other than this part right here, and the freight station being gone, Lufkin basically looked the same. I mean, it even still to this day, some of it still looks the same, other than some of the buildings being remodeled and whatever. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this was a long video. I'm gonna go ahead and do another video here soon before I have to go to work. So, anyways, love you guys. Peace.